Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you have never, ever been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you stopped by because today we are reviewing the Morphe X Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 eyeshadow palette. So if you want to know everything there is to know about this Morphe palette, if you want to see the swatches, you want to know the description, you want to know what the shadows feel like and perform like, and see all of the swatches, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. I feel like that was probably the shortest intro I've ever had. Anyways, let's look at this palette, shall we? So it comes in this very clean, simple unit carton. It is just white with silver reflective lettering. Then if we flip it over on the back, we have Jaclyn Hill's face with a little note from Jaclyn and her signature at the bottom. I'm not going to read it because it's really long, and it has the eyeshadow ingredients at the bottom, and it has the pressed pigment ingredients at the bottom as well. Then if we open her up, oh, also it has it on the side, what the palette name is, and it's silver. Cute. Just like the embossed lettering. So she is bubble wrapped, thank goodness, so she should be safe. This came directly from Morphe as well, so that should be even safer. Looks like it's just about the same on the outside as the original palette. Well, the original palette remade. It looks very close to the original, except the writing on it is different. Although the packaging for the original palette has now been remade to the same packaging as this one. It just says Volume 1 on it instead. And there's a big difference between the back. The first palette has all the shades on the back. I'm not sure if the repackaged palette does, but the new palette doesn't have all the shades on the back. I actually prefer this. I wish that they would have done this on the new palette as well. I don't know why, I just really like that. I feel like this would come in handy in a lot of instances. Anyway, as I said, this palette came from Morphe directly and it was $39. I want to go ahead and open it up and show you guys what it looks like on the inside. There is no mirror, unfortunately. Here are the shades. Ooh. It is a very warm palette over in the corner over here. There's also some neutral shades. We've got a couple of pops of color, some pinks, some purples, some reddy maroony type tones. It looks like a pretty good variety of shades in my opinion. And I feel like it's actually a pretty decent pairing to go with Volume 1. Now as you saw, it did have the little plastic protector sheet in it. I'm going to close the palette before we jump into swatches. I want to let you know what they say online on Morphe.com about the palette for the description of it. It says, Morphe X Jaclyn Hill. When Jaclyn Hill goes big, she goes all the way. Our OG Morphe babe never half-sasses something. That is cute. Don't half-sass anything, guys. It's extra to the extreme. Just like her brand new Dramatic AF palette, she's created 35 vivid shades to help you live your best life 24/7. These bossy brights won't back down, and that's just the way we like it. So, are you ready for the ultimate glow up? Finishes include matte, satin, and shimmer. Okay, so we have 35 shades. That means it's time to jump into swatches. Let's not waste any time. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you guys in, and we're gonna swatch it. The first shade is the shade Certified. Then the shade I'm In It. Ooh, wow. The shade Love Handles. Comfort Zone. The shade Perfectionist. Ride or Diamonds. Thick Skin. No Joke. The shade Taliya. Feelin Myself. Homebody. GRWM. Boujee. Drama Queen, Flawed and Odd, G Money, Positivity, my man. Grateful, heart on, and then living my best life. Now for these swatches, I'm going to go ahead and stop right here because this is about all I can fit on my arm for this section. I'll go ahead and show you close-ups of the swatches, one with flash here. And one without flash here. And then here's a video close-up of the swatches just so you can truly see what they are made of. That looks like it's in a black light. Jeez. Okay, so we went from whites to browns to yellows to reds. Now we're gonna go from pinks to purples to burgundies to a black. So starting with the fourth row, our first swatch is A Moment. Then the shade Therapy Sesh. The shade Lolli Mama. Tipsy Girl. The next shade is the shade Empowered. Ooh. Then the shade Next. The shade Dance Party. The shade Stay True. Then the shade Not My Journey. The shade Good Place. Then the shade Paolo. The shade Oh, Hello. Oops. Next is the shade Crazy. And the very last shade is the shade Temptress. And that's the entire last two rows of the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. And I will insert photos of these swatches as well, one with flash here. And one without flash here. And here's a video close-up of the pinky purpley shades as well. I think it's so funny that it just so happened to fill up the first swatch set at the yellows. We broke just in time. That's a pretty shade. Swatches are now done. Now I know swatches tell literally nothing of the quality of the shadows, of the dependability of the shadows, of the lasting power of the shadows. However, they do tell a story, specifically a color story. Now because I had to break this palette up into two sets of swatches, it kind of broke up the color story a little bit, but in an odd way, it was kind of helpful that it did, because it kind of clarified the fact that the first three rows are like yellowy desert type tones, then the second two rows are like purpley pinky type tones. And I don't think I really saw that when it was all in the palette. So just goes to show kind of what swatches can do, what they can be helpful in. As I say every video, they have no bearing on the quality, we know that. But it does help to see the color story outside of the palette sometimes. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into an eye look. I'm gonna go ahead and prime my eye with my P. Louise base. Now that my eyes are primed, I have no clue what to do. That was the easy part. Something I am noticing while I'm looking into this palette is there are a lot of very, very similar tones of brown. Mainly like 7 different tones of brown that are kind of the same. They're not exactly the same. They obviously swatched it different. I mean, you guys saw the swatches, you know what it looks like. They just look very similar is all. And I feel like once they get blended out and all over the eye that they might not look all that different. But we'll find out. So I guess what I'm gonna try and start with is using this very dense, pointy Morphe blending brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Tipsy Girl. And with this shade, I'm gonna start packing it in my crease, almost all the way to the inner corner as well, and carry it out into a wing shape. So something like that. And I'm just packing on color right now. Packing it on and making sure that it is as pigmented as I think it can get to. This is a very, very bright pink. I mean, it's like a hot pink. If I had to name a hot pink, this would be it. Okay, and now we're done. This is the look. It's a very avant-garde, high fashion runway, if you will. What do you think? Obviously, just kidding. But I have seen looks like this on Instagram that were actually done. I just gotta finish my face makeup, then I can call it a day, right? I'd have to have on some really awesome clothes if I was gonna wear this kind of look. Now I'm gonna take the Morphe M507 little bullet blender brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade My Man. I don't know if it's more like, that's my man, or if it's more like, yo, my man. But I feel like it's more like, my man, you know? Now I'm gonna take this shade and start packing it right here in the inner corner, very gently, very lightly, over and over again. And I'm just gonna start pulling it up into the shade Tipsy Girl with my smooth packing motions. Now I'm just gonna use the tip of the brush and start pulling the shade right above Tipsy Girl. And I'm gonna do that all the way out to the very edge. I probably would have chosen to do this with a smaller brush if I wouldn't have gone to the inner corner first, but I wanted a brush that would fit right perfectly in that inner corner. So I figured it would make more sense to start that way and then just use a side of the brush to pull the rest of the color out above the pink. And since I want it to blend into the pink anyway, it's okay if the brush touches in the pink. They're eventually gonna be blended, hopefully. I'm gonna say so far, pigmency is not an issue with this palette. At least with these two shades. They look like they're pure color, like a pressed pigment, like pure pigment. Even in the pan they look like that. Typically you can tell a lot of the time, this doesn't work for every color, but a lot of the time you can tell if you're gonna work with a pressed pigment or an eyeshadow, because I'd say 6 to 7 out of 10 times, pressed pigments are gonna be those most vibrant colors in the palette, usually. Eyeshadows are typically that off-tone kind of shade. Now it's not all the time. You can't like be like, oh, well, Chris said it was only primary colors that pressed pigments were. No, but a lot of the time. Oh, what was that? You said, what the heck are you doing? Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. But isn't it pretty so far? Now I'm gonna take the first Morphe brush that I had and the shade Tipsy Girl and just work these two shades in together a little bit and kind of finesse this blend so it's not so choppy looking. Now, I think it's time to play in some yellow, because why not use every most vibrant shade in the palette first? I'm going to use the Morphe X Jeffree Star JS12 brush, a very, very pointed blender brush, kind of, and go into the shade No Joke. And let's see if it's really no joke. I'm going to first start taking this in the safest area, which is right out here in the outer corner of the brow bone. And again, I'm just packing this on first. I want to put it right on the border of My Man. Now, I kind of made the mistake, let's not call it a mistake, let's call it a happy little accident. I made the happy little accident of going a little high with the shade My Man right here in this area. So I have to take the shade No Joke up into my brow a little bit, which is completely fine with me. But if you're like, I don't know, following along or something, if this look ends up being halfway presentable in the end, you decide you like it and want to try it, just know that maybe don't take that quite as high if you don't want it to go into the brow. Or who knows, you may have much bigger eye space than I do, because I ain't got much. I ain't got very much at all. But I do work with what I got to make it look like it's a lot. Yay! Now we have this beautiful sunshine rainbow. I'm never going to be able to duplicate this like this. Now I'm just going to work on the blending. Okay, so far, so amazing. Everything blends beautifully. Everything has blended beautifully. Everything seems to continue to blend beautifully. There's no weird patchiness. There's no lack of pigmentation, that's for sure, because everything is super bright. And I'm really glad that I packed everything on first, then blended it out, because I think that really helped in the aspect of having it maintain its pigmency and integrity as a pigment. Big words, look out. So now, I was kind of iffy on what I wanted to do. I didn't know for sure if I wanted to go in with like some neutrally shimmery lid, or if I wanted to kind of deepen things up, or I don't really know. I still don't really know. So I'm going to deepen things up. I think now I'm gonna take this Morphe M456 brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Livin My Best Life. It's not what it's called, but I'm gonna take that. That is red. It is like vampiric. I'm gonna tap off the excess because I'm not gonna be packing this one on. I'm scared of this one. I want to use it very sparingly and lightly. I'm gonna make sure that I don't have any creasing. Well, I'm going to tap out my creasing because I do have creasing. I can see that I have creasing and I don't want creasing. Now, I'm gonna take this shade and start putting it right into the center of my crease slash outer corner. I'm kind of using this as my deepening shade, because I think it's gonna be deeper than everything else so far. Yeah, I think we're good. Since it is the red, it has a little bit of that bluer base in it, almost like what you would think a red lipstick is. But I think it's gonna really work for deepening everything up, but still kind of keeping it really beautiful and sunsetty looking. I guess that's what I'm going for, is sunsetty looking. I might start transitioning into more purple tones on the lid. Don't really know for sure yet. We'll find out when we get there. But for now, this is what we're doing. Just like that. It's like a little cherry right out there on the outer corner. Love that. Cute. We're gonna pull her out and join her pink sister. And I'm also going to pull this all the way in, almost right to the inner corner. I'm probably gonna stop about 3/4 of the way. Pretty much right before where I ended with the pink. The Tipsy Girl shade. I'm gonna go right before that. Okay, that's super cute. I feel like it looks kind of like one of those thermal maps. I don't know why it's not exactly like that, but it's just kind of feeling like one. Just want to make sure everything is nice and blended. You guys know me, you're my blending beauties for a reason. We like to make sure that our blends are blended. And then whenever we think that we're done blending them, we blend them more. And then when we're done with that, we blend them again, and then we're satisfied. Fun. Love that. That's cute. I really do like that red. That's pretty. Now I think I want to do another fun little thing and go in with the Morphe M507 brush, and this time I'm going to go into the shade Not My Journey. We're just going with the whole little rainbow here, aren't we? All the way from yellow to purple. And I'm going to put this right in the crease. Literally just the line of the crease. I'm actually not even really going to put it in the crease. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on my lid, like the highest point of my lid. So like right here, I'm using the bend of my eye where my crease and my lid make that like V shape. And I'm depositing color on my lid within that V so that the bristles of the brush barely touch up on my crease, and I'm more so putting color on my lid. That's how sparing I want to be with putting this purple in my crease. I don't have a lot of crease space, so this is how I gotta do this to fit more colors up on my crease. I mean, what, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors that are gonna be there now? Yeah, I don't have the room for 5 colors, so we gotta fake it. And I'm going to do this all the way across the lid. Now I am going to be pulling this purple shade out into the little V shape we got going on out here in the outer corner. So it is going to be joining its brothers and sisters up in the crease a little bit in that aspect. But that's really just to continue the defining shape of the crease. You could almost say that I'm cutting the crease with this shade. That is kind of, sort of, what I'm doing with it, actually. Now that you say that, you are so smart. You've been hanging around here a while, haven't you? I knew. Now normally, since I have hooded lids, this is where I would say I need to pull this purple up all the way to this point here, because that's where it would be visible still with my eyes open. But I'm not in this case, because I don't want to lose all that color work that I put into there. So what I'm going to do instead, I've kind of mapped this out to be a cut crease. And I'm gonna make it a cut crease. I'm gonna go in with my P. Louise x Mitchell Acid Rain Collection Cosmetic Paint. It's in the shade Ecstasy, and it's a very deep plummy purple tone. And I'm gonna use this to cut out my crease now. Crease is now cut, and I've gotta say, this P. Louise and Mitchell base, I hadn't used it before. I haven't used any of the colors that I got. I'm obsessed with this. This made the cleanest cut crease that I've ever seen in my life. Well, that wasn't just this, that was also me. But it was also this little pointy, sharp Morphe brush. But either way, it's a really, really clean, even, nice cut crease, and the color is perfect for this look. Anyway, the whole reason why I cut that crease was so I could take the shade Good Place and start packing that all on top of this deep blue toned purple. So I'm gonna go in with my finger first, and I'm just gonna take this shade right on here and start lightly packing it right over this pigment or paint or whatever you want to call it. Oh yeah, it doesn't look like I did anything, but it does look like I did something. It added that reflect to it and made it really shiny and pretty and perfect. Okay, now I'm also going to take this Luxie 246 Precision Crease Brush and take the same shade, Good Place, and start going around the edges of that cut crease, just making sure that I get this shade everywhere. I don't want to miss any spots. I want to make sure that it's covered completely and make sure that we have everywhere set. Wow, that is beautiful. Now I've set all of the base Ecstasy with the shade Good Place. And now just for a little bit more dimension, I feel like the lid is kind of lacking that a little bit. I'm gonna use the shade I'm In It and go in with that with my ring finger as well. And just pack this right on the center of the lid, just to, like I said, add a little bit more dimension right in the center. See, wow, that really pulled the lid out, made it pop a whole lot more. And just gonna take the Luxie brush with the shade Good Place on it, make sure that I blend out these edges. I don't want to have my fingerprint on my lid. And then the very last thing I want to do is take the Morphe M507 again back into the shade Not My Journey, that deepest purple tone, and just to build it up on this outer corner to kind of hide that sharp line on the outer edge from the cut crease and blend it in a little bit more so it's not so obvious and prominent. I want it to be obvious and prominent in the inner corner all the way to about the middle of the crease, but I want to hide it out here. I want it to look like it just blends into all of the other shades out here. And I don't know for sure if I'll be able to do it with the deep purple, the Not My Journey shade. I'm gonna try. Worst case, I can go in with just the tiniest bit of black out here only, but I'm hoping I can avoid that and maybe I don't have to. We're gonna find out though. I'm gonna blend it and we're gonna see. Okay. Awesome. It blended in perfectly. I can't see any harsh line or edge. So now I'm just gonna clean up the edge and see what it looks like after it's all kind of come together. I'm super stoked. That's really pretty. That's gonna look great with a big, beautiful, fluttery lash on it. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the same exact thing onto the other eye. And I think there's a couple of touches I wanna add to it before I finish my face off camera and we move on to the lower lash line. So give me just a second to finish the other eye and I'll be right back. My other eye is now completed, as you might have been able to tell. So now what I really wanna do, I was very indecisive as to what shade I wanted to do this in, but I think I've decided on hot pink. So I'm going to take the P. Louise Mitchell Acid Rain Collection base in the shade Raver this time, which is, like I said, a hot pink, and I want to make a little wing. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do like the yellow or the orange or the pink. I decided on pink. So I'm going to do this really quick and we're going to see what kind of neat little touch that adds. Pink wings are now applied. After much deliberation, might I add, I went through a couple of different brushes, then I used a flat brush to clean it all up, Not that you needed to know any of that, it just took me a long time. But I'm back, and the wings are there, and I'm happy with them. Now, I need to go ahead and finish my face off of camera, so what I'm gonna do is actually go ahead and just finish everything else. Gonna get my face done, my mascara done, my lashes on, pretty much everything except the lower lash line mascara, so that way we can finish off the lower lash line eyeshadow, and I can let you know what I actually think about the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. So give me just one more moment, and I will be right back. See you in a second. At this point, our face is complete. The only other thing I did to my eyes, aside from, obviously, lashes, is I added the Wet n Wild Gel Breakup Proof Eyeliner into my waterline, just to kind of pull everything together. Now, to finish everything, we need to go ahead and finish off the lower lash line. And for this, I'm gonna kind of pull inspiration from the crease and the lid. I want to pull everything from above to below, just so it all kind of ties together and still works seamlessly together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with my Sigma E15 flat definer brush and go into the shade Not My Journey again. And with this, I'm going to start gently and lightly pressing this onto my lower lash line right at the edge of my lashes. And I'm taking this about halfway in. Not all the way, just halfway. Next, I'm taking my Alamar Cosmetics flat brush. It's from the Los Ojitos eye collection, I think. It's a flat brush. And with this one, I'm gonna go into the shade Tipsy Girl, and we're gonna stamp her in the inner portion of the lower lash line. And I'm taking this all the way to the inner corner. I'm pretty much connecting it with the shadow that's on the inner corner. I want it to go all the way around. Now, with all of the color placed on both sides, this is the fun part. I'm gonna go in with the Luxie 213 eye shading brush. It's a flatter, fluffy blending brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade My Man. And we're gonna start blending this out from the outer corner, working inward. And we're gonna see what happens, because frankly, I have no clue. Also, frankly, I'm rather scared, so we'll see. Well, I feel like that all kind of ran together and just turned pink. I don't see orange really anymore at all. So I'm now going to take this flatter, more defined, sort of bullety type blending brush from Morphe, and I'm going to go into the shade No Joke, and I'm only going to take pigment on one side of the brush, not everywhere. And I'm going to blend out all of this pinky orangey purple with the yellow. Okay, yeah, now we're getting orange. I don't know how that happened. It was weird. And with that, that is it for the shadow. I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some Wet n Wild Lash Renegade mascara on the lower lashes, and we're gonna be done with this look, so I get to let you know what I think about the palette. The look is now 100% done. What do you guys think? I think it's super fun. It's very bright, it's very colorful, it's very poppy. Not like Poppy the flower, but like poppy like blam! Poppy, you know? Now personally, when it comes to the Morphe x Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette, I think that it's a nice addition to the Jaclyn Hill Volume family of eyeshadow palettes. I think that you could probably get a lot of these tones within the Vault collection. You just might get a little bit better quality within this palette. Not sure. I haven't tried any of the Vault collection. I've just heard things about it from other influencers and creators who didn't really like it or couldn't get it to perform the way they wanted it to. But I can't go off of assumptions or rumor. I can only go off of what I know, and I can say that I do know that I enjoyed the way this palette worked. I liked the way that the shadows functioned. They were very, very pigmented when I put them on. They blended out seamlessly. They built up seamlessly. There was no patchiness, no issues with the blending. I literally had no problems the entire time. I am happy with the overall look. I'm actually really happy with the color story that the palette has, because I do like the tones that are in here. I can work with all of them. Although I don't have a very beautiful royal blue, I'll still be satisfied. There's some purpley tones, and I love me some purpley tones. I can work with the pinky purples. I've never really been drawn myself to orangey tones, but I like that there are orange tones in here that I could work with, but I could also tone them down with some of these neutral brown tones that are in here. I do still think that there are too many of the neutral naturally brown type tones. I don't think all of them are necessary. I think they could have been replaced with maybe some extra shimmery tones. I don't know. I don't know what I would have replaced it with. I'd have to give that more thought. But just looking at it initially, I feel like there's too many of those same specific tones. But that's just my opinion. That's just my thoughts on it. Based on the color story and the performance of the palette and the shadows that I used, I definitely would recommend the palette. That is my own opinion, my own thoughts on it based on this look that I created. But what do you guys think? That's what I want to know. Have you tried the palette? Did you get the palette yourself? What did you think? Please let me know in the comments below. Let's have a conversation, shall we? Also, if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, if you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this, and that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.